This is Matt O'Brien, and you're listening to Talking Schmit.
It's cool, like tonight is the night.
Here we go again.
Just give it the old college try, right now.
Big dog's in.
Schmitty.
96 times, Schmitty.
Thanks, Schmitty.
We on? Schmitty?
Talkin Schmit.
That's called go to the hospital, bitch.
I'd be shitting my pants, man.
Your Rolodex is fucking deep.
It's about the one.
Who is this guy thinks he's tough shit?
What's up? We're tastemakers.
Come on, Schmitty, what the fuck?
Let's hear it for Greg Smith. Yeah!
Cha-chang.
Oh, wait.
Cha-chang. All right, sipping on a little throat coat tea on a rainy day in San Francisco. I'm Schmitty, and this is Talkin Schmit. Yesterday, Bill King died, but today I got Matt O'Brien here, and we're going to talk skateboarding, East Coast, West Coast, mixed with a little PDX sugar, maybe some art, and whatever else comes up in the process. So listen up, because you can't say nothing, and you might even learn something. And with that, here's my guest, Matt O'Brien.
That was really well done. What's up, buddy?
Welcome.
That was good. Do you practice that in the shower?
No, I just, I used to be a freestyle rapper.
Oh,
So
in your Redwood City days.
Yeah, after eighth grade, I realized I couldn't break dance. I tried it, but it wasn't working. So then I went to the freestyle, started just rhyming words, and all of a sudden, who knows? Anything could come out, and it usually did.
I'm backing it. That sounds good. You would never know. How are you, man?
I'm well. Yeah. Like I said, I can't complain because I see a lot of shit out there that's really bad. So like it's challenging for all of us, but in the level of life, like I'm lucky. I still got a job. I got a roof over my head. We're getting groceries, the whole thing. I got a dog and a fiance, and that's pretty fucking helpful,
Same. Dog and fiance, same boat.
It's a good combo.
I think if anything else, like, and you probably have these conversations daily, is like, what a perspective change this past year has been. Mm-hmm. Just simplify and one foot in front of the next, man. We'll get through it. Yeah, and also kind of like, it's weird because my whole life I heard like live in the now. And this really makes you live in the now. Like right. You really have to be like, today sucks, tomorrow might not. Today's rad, enjoy it. You know what I mean? Like, whereas before you would sit there and be like, I'm going to live in the now. You'd really try. But now none of us have a choice, Yeah. I got a therapist, and I tell her, like, when I tried to meditate, like when you try to relax, that's when my body would shake the most. Like I would just be like, freak out. And that's exactly what happens to everyone when they just start meditating. It's just, you get, one day you all of a sudden get 10 seconds, Yeah. Maybe in 2 weeks, that's 15 seconds. Right. And it's just like skateboarding, you overthink it. And then one day you're in that zone and you're actually doing that trick that you didn't think possible, or, it's just, you tap into that flow. Like meditation is, for a lot of people, it's, I think it's just discipline. So totally, it's great for your mind, and it also, like, one of the big things I'm learning through it is like not to judge yourself, because you're your worst judge. Out of everybody out there, you think your shit sucks more than anyone else. So if you could just take it easy on yourself, that's gonna help a lot. Yeah, you think your shit sucks, or you think your shit's too dope. I mean, there's like everyone struggles with that. Mm-hmm. Well, so let's get to the beginning. You were born in the East Coast, right? Connecticut out there? Grew up in New Haven, Connecticut. New Haven. Yeah. And then I moved to Bethany, which is like, it's still New Haven County. Bethany is where I would have learned about BMXing and, learned about skateboarding. it's where I met like Brian Gaberman and just like that whole crew of dudes.
Was Brian from Bethany?
Bethany. So it was, if I remember correctly, Bethany was part of a better school system. So there was all these, young parents moving their kids out from New Haven out to like Bethany or Woodbridge or Orange, Connecticut, all to be a part of this Amity school system, which was rated maybe like third best school, nationally. So there was a lot of hype around it. My folks were down with the hype, so we moved to Bethany.
Huh. But, so you got a good education.
I think, like, no. I think like Amity was so big by the time we went, it was one of those schools where you could just float by,
Uh-huh.
No one was paying attention to what you were doing.
Mm.
So, like you could skip class and hang out in the graphics class with, and that's something I would do. Like I could figure out a way to like sit somewhere and draw or doodle and just float. So I wouldn't say like it was, I left with like a pretty good education. It was easy.
Okay. So were you doodling before you were rolling?
My folks met in art school.
Oh.
Yeah. So it was encouraged to be like a doodler or whatever, My mom was not really down for us watching TV. So, we were just kind of entertain ourselves. So yeah, I was a doodler.
And then do you remember like kind of getting sparked to get your first skateboard, like how that went? Did you see somebody that you thought was cool rolling by, or did you see it in a movie? Or
I think, at that time being so isolated from anything cool, I was into like BMXing, but I was such a small, scrawny kid that it was, you fall with a bike and it's like, you're out, it's kind of hard for me it was hard for me to do. So I think maybe BMX Plus was close by to a trans world or something. There was some sort of like connection where BMX and skateboarding like met. And I remember going into like a certain grade and then the cool kids had skateboards. So it was just kind of something I walked into,
Did you get it from a skate shop?
You know what? My first skateboard was a Jeff Phillips 2. I bought it from Tom Cahill. It had a red tracker ultralights and Sims street wheels. They were like two-tone.
Okay.
Yeah. Tom Cahill hooked it up.
That's rad. Was there a skate shop back there then in like locally?
Yeah. It started to like, I was exposed to skaters and the skate community. And I think the place to go to was Rad Rob's. So that would have been in Milford, Connecticut. So that's like Milford would have been like a 40-minute drive away from Bethany.
If anybody out there has a Rad Rob sticker, $5. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Or there's Rad Rob's and then there's Rick's Surf City. Goddamn. Yeah. Those are the shops I would go to. And all of the shops were like BMX skateboard shops, they were like hybrids. They weren't, skating was too small to be like the main focus, to keep the lights on,
Okay.
So,
and then what was the playground? What do I need to know about the playground?
Playground was definitely fast forwarding a few years. Playground would have been in Wallingford, and it was, this amazing woman, Bruna Da Silva. I think she did it just for her kid, Tony. So Tony Da Silva, do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she opened it up just for Tony. I think Tony was like an aspiring soccer player who got into skateboarding, and then she just loved it and opened up this place. And it became like this place for all the fuck ups, so many kids were going through like broken families. So they would go to the playground every day. I spent as much time as I could at the playground. So
what city was that?
That's in Wallingford.
In Connecticut?
Yeah.
And like, was that a place where you met a lot of, like, did you meet Salba there, or did you already, yeah?
Salba and Pailes and that whole crew. I lived in Bethany, Upson lived in Seymour. we had this girl, Nicole Germain, that would come and pick us up after school.
Uh-huh.
Like she would just come drive her parents' car and pick all us dudes up, and then go to the playground, and we would just be at the playground till 8 or 9 or 10 at night, and then she would drive us home. So yeah, it was the best place, man. I think a lot of us, I got caught smoking weed there. I got kicked out, all I had to do was call back and apologize to Bruna. It was just one of those things where I learned a lot. I learned a lot about just being a little dickhead,
Huh.
It was great place to be.
So did you kind of grow up with Upson? You knew him at an early age?
I would see him at skateboard events, and one of my friends nicknamed him Bear Essentials. Bear Essential, there's Bear Essential.
Why?
He would always show up there's the kids that are concerned with the right board and the right look and the right, maybe at that time it would have been the right airwalks and the right H Street board. I don't know. But Tim would just show up at the spot and he would just be scrappy, just no socks, and just, if everyone had rails, he didn't have rails. And he just no one could figure him out, man. He was just so good and did not care to connect with anyone. It's no coincidence that he ended up on Anti-Hero. You know what I mean? If you look at it that way, it's so much of him was just such good talent. The rest of it just fell to the side. I don't know.
So he was always kind of an elusive creature, kind of to himself a little bit.
Yeah, guarded, always right. Guarded individual. But charming too. He's just a little badass. You should get him on here. He would be.
I would love to.
I haven't talked to him in forever, but in the last year, I just connected with so many people, and we spent some good time in the backyard.
No way.
Just talking about everything that's happened in the last 15 years or so. But yeah, Tim is still excellent, man. He's just wired differently. Still one of my, favorite human beings. Even when he sucks, still one of my favorites. So,
yeah, Salva said to ask you the worst Upson story of all time.
Worst Upson? No. See, I want to keep Tim as a friend. So,
yeah,
no stories on Timmy.
Yeah, because I talked to Sieber a bunch. He's got Ignition Skate Shop out there.
Yes.
And
yes,
we've been very slowly, trying to create a narrative that could lure Tim in and get him to. I was like, why don't you guys do it together? Maybe that would be better. Maybe he doesn't want to do it alone or something.
I'll tell you this. The stickers in the background of your closet, just put up a picture of somebody fly fishing, right? Just wear fishing gear and just yeah, exactly. Tim said something to me over the summer that was super funny. When he first went to Europe, he was super hyped. I don't know if that was with Black Label or what. It probably was Black Label. So he was on a Black Label tour, and he went to Europe and did all these demos. And that's super exciting for someone of that age and that time. And he came home and he said his dad was like, "So did you bring your pole, fishing pole?" And he's like, "What? No, it was just my skateboard." And his dad was like, "You're a fucking idiot." That would be a good way to get into Tim's life, is talk about stuff like that, because that would have been his dad knew of all these famous fly fishing spots in Europe.
Oh, really?
And was like, that's what you should have gone to Europe for. So I think that would be an interesting, narrative, whatever.
Yeah.
Talk to Timmy about what's relevant, I don't know.
Yeah. I the only time Tim chimes in usually is when someone dies, or when he's got a big question about something that Jake's not able to answer anymore, and he wants my opinion on what I think Jake would say.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. I love Tim. We stay in touch. I'd say we probably text each other 6 to 8 times a year or something,
Sure.
randomly. Yeah.
Sure.
But he's really concerned with where skateboarding's going to go post Felper.
Yeah, aren't we all?
Or the mag in particular. Can the mag stay the mag post Felper is his big question.
There's always got to be someone there that's going to say, we can't have those people advertising in this magazine.
Yeah.
You know, whether you like it or not. I can't speak for like the magnitude of what Felper like represented for the magazine. That's more for you, but there's got to be always someone there to, if it's not shit talk, it's just shine some light on like, or maybe it's just grounding. There's got to be someone there to ground you guys, you know, no matter what. But
it will also just guard. Like he was really good at keeping the goons out, you know, like if you walked into fucking whatever, he was just like, out of here, dude. I loved how like dudes would come upstairs with their skateboard and he'd be like, skateboards downstairs. Like he didn't even know these guys or say hi yet. And he's just like, downstairs with the skateboard. Like
he had his rules.
He had his rules and he never let them slide. Don't ever call me bud. Don't wear black socks. No cargos after 30. Like there was a list, man.
Yeah. Jesus. How are you guys doing without the captain?
Well, it's crazy, right? I lost my whole team in 3 years, basically with P-Stone, Jake, and Dave Sibnewski, who is the marketing guy. He retired, he quit or transferred jobs, and then Jordan, my side partner, ex-wing fighter, he got a new job too. So I'm like, whoa. And then at the same time, I'm working from home. Like I've only been to the mag 3 times since March of last year.
Wow.
Like in almost a year, I've been there 3 times. So it's crazy in that regards, but fuck, Burnett is insane workhorse. The dude is just like in his grudge hut, probably like more than he's, I don't know, anywhere else. Or he's at the bottom of a rail or in a car going to LA but he works his ass off and, you know, he has the drive still after whatever, 25 plus years, but we just hit 40-year anniversary this year. So to me, it's just like, how are we even in print still? Because hardly any mags are, and there's no skateboard mags, and Rolling Stone, Spin, Sports Illustrated, these top level mags of yesteryear are either really thin or just went full digital. Right. And we're as thick as we've ever been. So I mean, a big part of it is because you're looking at full page photos, right? It's still like Playboy's probably thick, right? You're looking at photos, and skateboarding is like, you can't beat that, like sitting on the toilet, flying or whatever. You're just like taking it in, and that's something digital will never have. But I mean, obviously Instagram. I
mean, it's tangible. It's for our generation, it's no other way. Like I have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
You know, Instagram is nice, but it's the same way like, you know, zine culture came up so much in the last few years. After a while, you just want to sit with something. You don't want that to change. Like you want to sit with an image and just have it resonate. That's really important. That's why something like, if Thrasher is protected, right? If it's curated as it's always been, it'll never go anywhere. It'll always have an audience. You know, to compare it to like, it's weird to even compare it to Rolling Stone, because skateboarding is not, it doesn't need the rock star, you know, skateboarding needs skateboarding.
Right. And probably Rolling Stone's more written, you know. I think the value is more in the interviews and the articles that they write. Maybe it's not as photo heavy. And so all that can be transferred to the internet. You can transfer that. But like seeing a 2-page spread of Greco switch frontside flipping Lincoln or something, it's like, that's on my wall, you know, like, so those are the difference.
And it also, you know, like we're older, but the demographic that's picks up a mag for the first time, you know, they're still putting things on their wall like that. They're still going to, you know, tear something out and trophy it, or at least I hope, you know.
Yeah, me too. I have to think, I'm pretty sure that maybe not all, maybe not half. I don't know what percentage, but there are kids out there that would rather be on Thrasher's Instagram than in the mag. And that kind of blows me away.
Right. I mean, Instagram has in the last 7 years just been so goddamn essential. Right?
Yeah, right. Great marketing tool.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. That's how you get your brand out. I get it. And I guess kids aren't corrected and if they're not shown that there's another way that they should appreciate. I don't know how to, at 47, I don't really know how to like speak for kids.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is like, it feels great to put my phone down. You know what I mean? Do something else.
You just influence somebody.
Yep. I've been practicing that. It's cool. It is good to put your phone down. I encourage it.
I don't know if you're this way, but sometimes I would judge people like, wow, that dude is so old and he comments on every fucking post, like what's wrong with that dude? And then all of a sudden you become that dude, and for me, and then I'm like, oh, I need to chill the fuck out. So, you start judging other people and then you're that dude yourself.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're judging you because you have a different name than what's on your driver's license and you forget who you are. I love that one.
Is that real?
Yeah. Well, that's more common. That's more common than not. What's that movie that came out a while ago? It was this dude who was like dating people online and he would like fall for people and then he would realize that they never really existed.
Oh, is it like Catfish?
Yeah. Catfish.
Uh-huh.
We're living in a catfish age, homeboy.
I got catfished before it was gnarly.
What's that? You did? No way. What happened?
I just learned, let's put it this way, because, I got a politically correct show, but yeah. I did learn that girls will take photos like this and it looks a lot different than like this.
Sure.
And, I'm not really trying to judge anybody by their exterior. It's all about what's inside. We all know that. But sometimes what you see is kind of what you want to get. And so when you kind of like start out a relationship like that, you're like, wait, this already is a lie. I got to bail.
Yeah, it's gnarly, but it's gnarly. That's a gnarly story. But my point is like, we're all living in this sort of these catfish moments.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I struggle with that too, but like, you got to put the catfish down.
Yeah, it'd be sick to open a bar called Catfish and then like have a photo booth or something. Like just make it this whole experience.
Make it happen, dude.
Yeah, Mickey, come on, let's get this.
Seriously, he's got the vision.
Do you ever see that dude?
It's so weird. Like we're in North Portland, so I'm like a 5-minute drive to downtown. And then these guys are in Southeast. And it's almost like just Southeast from North Portland is like how SF to Oakland was. You know how like people would move to Oakland back in the day, you would never talk to them again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't see him much, but I'm a big fan of Mickey. So,
yeah, same.
He's like one of those dudes where he's like, I just don't judge him. Like I don't know how he's earned that right, but he could do no wrong,
Yeah, OG City Boy, like. When I was a kid, it was him, Mickey, Thebo, Arco, like those guys paved the way and kind of like put street skating in NorCal on the map for us. Yeah. Then they met Nodis, got affiliated with SMA or whatever. But all that stuff was like, CBS, Sick Boys, all that stuff was like the original, that was the early pioneer movement of that for us. And so Mickey forever, and then what he did at Deluxe and the influence he's had and just like the charisma and magnitude of that dude. Like you go somewhere with them and he's one of those guys you don't have to worry about. You're going to have fun because he'll figure it out or get you out of there. Like it's going to be fun or you're leaving.
He had some Felperisms too.
Sure. Yeah. He was tight with Jake.
He would call it out. but he did it with a little bit of maybe a little bit more compassion.
Mm-hmm.
Like he would call a kook, but he would still be like, "You're all good." You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
I was scared. I mean, I'm a little scared of him still, but I was definitely scared like early on.
oh, there was rumors that he was like punching fools out, right?
Oh yeah. He would wrestle with you and like take it a little further than most people would, and you'd be like, "Fuck."
Yeah. I never had that experience. He's always been just down. He's just consistent. So.
Well, so let's go back to Connecticut. What's it like for you right about the time leading up to you moving out west? Like, who's your crew? Where are you in life at?
Well, I first went to California. It would have been the summer before my senior year of high school. So that would put me with like the Nimbus guys and like going to Suffern, New York, and going to, Jim Lynch's house, or, skating with Ryan Hickey, or going to Charlie Butterly's house. So that would have put me in like New York, New Jersey, as much as I could. I was learning a little bit more about city and skating with city skaters, as well as playground. So it'd be like kind of a mix of like the playground skaters and New York skaters. So my first trip out west was with, Jim Lynch and Ryan Hickey and this awesome girl, AZ. And we met Rich Arbitel and Justin Pierce out there. We just drove all over California. So it's that was kind of my breakaway from my crew of like, Upson, Gaberman, Da Silva, like all those playground kids, and just kind of, skating more with the New York guys, I think.
And what was like the idea before you left? Were you like, let's go hit a bunch of spots, or like, let's just go, like, did you have anything in mind? Like, we're going to go to SF, go to China Banks, CEMB, then go to LA. Like, was there any?
Yeah, it's such a common dream that a lot of us were having, is like, let's go skate all these spots. Let's just make a list.
Okay.
And, when we first went to California, we borrowed Jim Lynch's car. And I think the first skate spot we went to was Benicia.
Oh, serious?
So, and Benicia's the spot with the Schwartz brothers, right?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay,
those
so
little lumps.
Next to the Taco Bell?
Mm-hmm. Or
That's
KFC, maybe? It was
What's that?
I think it was KFC, but maybe it was Taco Bell.
I remember it as Taco Bell, but that would have been my very first like skate spot. Like, holy shit, we're here. And of course the Schwartz brothers were there. You know what I mean?
On a demo.
Yeah. So like, and we, in our first trip to California, all those weird type of things happened. Like, we would go to a spot and there would be someone, oh, of course this guy's here. Like, by the time we got to San Diego, we were at like a school Q or school W, one of those prominent San Diego schools. And of course, Sean Sheffy's there.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like our first trip was just like, time was really, really dope. So like, to give you a marker, we were there the day that Pat Duffy did the hip ollie and grinded down that flat bar.
Oh.
Same day he grinded the 19 stair and then did a frontside slappy afterwards. So these are like... Wait,
you were there?
We were there. And we weren't there because we got a phone call to go.
We were there happened to check spots.
Yeah, when we were in San Diego, we met up with this kid, Benner Pelding, and he's like, let's go try this school. We went there, we skated, and then that happens.
What are you thinking when you see Duffy? That was fucking gnarly.
It's such a marker as far as like, yeah, what are you thinking? You're blown away, dude.
Is that like, oh, California is the place to be? Like, they're doing it way different than us.
Well, what's so crazy about it is you're watching the videos, right? Or you're studying the magazine at these spots. And then you go to these spots and this happens? Like, it's just, I mean, it's something like that blew us away, and it's, in a way, it's never stopped blowing me away. It's just like the power of like the right timing, being at the right place at the right time is just it's such a cool part of life, you know, and like, and I'm aware of that in like so many aspects, but back as young skate rat dude who like, that's all I cared about. Yeah, it was real cool day to watch. I remember going up to that photographer. What is his name? The dude who's not that nice. Is it Schlossbach? What's that guy's name?
There is a Schlossbach. I don't know.
He's like really militant.
Oh, Daniel Sturt?
Yeah. Okay. That guy.
Uh-huh.
Now, my dad's a photographer, right? So I know what a Hasselblad is. That's not like, you know, unfamiliar to me.
Uh-huh.
My dad, you know, I grew up with my dad taking photos. He had a dark room in the basement. So like, that's a conversation I would have at being a young kid. So I remember going up to that dude at that session and being like, that's a sick camera. What is that? Is that a Hasselblad? And his response was, it's a fucking microwave. That's what he said to me. And I was like, oh, all right. And just like, you know, walked away like, oh, okay, that didn't work out. I don't know why that came in, but yeah, that really happened.
Was that same day he was shooting Duffy, or that was a different incident?
If it was not the same day, it was the day before.
Okay. Dude,
I mean,
that's legendary to be at that fucking rail. Holy shit.
I mean, it's legendary to go to Benicia and see the Schwartz brothers.
Yeah.
Like to do that, to see that show, you know?
Totally.
Like, so that trip we had there were so many parts about it that like blew me away. So, you know, that trip happens. I think we spent a lot of time in Santa Barbara, meeting all the Santa Barbara crew, you know? That's where I would have met like Tony Bulis and like Ricky Higgins, and just like go to the Powell skate zone and
it was so fun.
So good. So yeah, that trip, we just made a lot of connections. And then the next summer I was back in California, and then just made it my permanent home, you know?
Did you go out the second time on a trip and then you just stayed here, or did you think you were moving out here, or what? You know what? Actually, the second trip, I took a Greyhound, which back then, Greyhounds, I might have Greyhounds across country like 7 times. Like that was like an easy thing to do, right? I think it was like $75. Oh, really? Full? Yeah, it was like 3 days. You just like stock up on some food and just like sleep for 3 days. Uh-huh. You know, it was ghetto, but it was easy. So that happened. The next summer I spent some time in Santa Barbara. Took the Greyhound out there. I would package Shorty's bolts in the morning for breakfast money, go skating, and then package bolts for dinner money. And then, that was kind of how I lived, hand to mouth in Santa Barbara. So that was the next summer. I had to go back because I didn't fully graduate high school. Mm-hmm. So I went back and, took care of that. And then by April of that following year, I was out in California. Was that Rob Collinson? Was your first place that you started crashing with? Where was that? The first place I stayed at was with Corey Shaw off of Alcatraz in Oakland. So it would have been like Ron Allen lived upstairs. I think Jay Lofty was downstairs, right? Oh, shit. And yeah. You ever been to that house? I don't think so, but I remember Jay Lofty and like Ray Dillon and those dudes. That was a trippy spot. So I ended up there, and then Corey, put us up for maybe 3 months. He was doing a clothing brand called OG Ware. I think it was for iced tea at the time. Yeah, and it was like somehow related to Jay Lofty. Anyways, the original gangster gear. It was a crazy one. So Corey Shaw in Oakland, and then I went and I moved in with Drehobl and Pailes. That's fucking cancer. Fucking damn. Because I think Greg Ware was moving back to 331 Octavia.
you remember that spot?
Oh, that was Octavia. Yeah.
You said Rob Collinson. You weren't far off because he would have then moved into the Octavia house.
Exactly. So that was a little later.
Yeah.
Did you know Pailes and Drehobl from back east?
I knew Pailes. He had stayed at my house to skate the playground. So I knew him a little bit. I knew Greg more. I think Greg was just more, he was easier to connect with. So I knew Greg was like, hey, I'm moving out of this spot. Do you want to stay here? So I think Greg got me in. And then, I lived with those guys. It was pretty nutty. Pretty nutty introduction, you know?
For sure.
I knew of Drehobl when Drehobl would come to the playground, we called him Marlboro Man. Like Marlboro, you know, the cigarettes.
Smoker, yeah.
Yeah, because everyone got a nickname. But he would just show up and he wouldn't talk to anyone. He would have a red Marlboro hat, like really low. You know, like just like, yeah. And he would just rip the place. So he was coined, you know, Marlboro Man. No doubt. Yeah.
Funny, dude.
How's Danny? Have you gotten Dan on this thing? I got a cutting board from him recently.
I think dope. Here's the thing. We're not going to even just answer without thinking too much about it. Who's more likely to come on my program, Dan Drehobl or Tim Upson?
None of the above, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's Drehobl's response. Well, I hear Drehobl's response. It's your fucking podcast. I didn't tell you to fucking start the podcast. Why do I got to go on it? I love Dan. Yeah. We have a really good relationship. You know, we can talk freely to one another and just not hold back. And that's pretty special for two human beings. And
what about Becker? Have you gotten Becker on here?
He was like he was either the second or the third person I ever had. I
like that dude.
Yeah, he's got a lot to say too. He's really like intelligently.
He's a woodworker, man. It's all math. Yeah.
He made our cabinets. He custom made for my fish tank a desk and overhead cabinets for living with my fiance. It's like
dope.
Made my life a lot better.
Have you ever thought about going to his shop and maybe apprenticing or just trying to learn how to do stuff like that? Do you have any passion to do that?
Dude, actually, he mentioned that it's always there for, for the close friend. I never really, I don't know. I don't know if I love Evan, but I don't know if he has the patience to deal with my learning curve. You know what I mean? Like I might just be too much of an idiot, go take some shot classes before you come to, one step at a time type thing. But I don't know. Yeah, that would be interesting for sure. I love it.
The only reason I ask is, Tiffany and I got this place and it's like a fixer upper, and I spend a lot of my time just on YouTube trying to figure out how to do the simplest of things. So like people like Evan, I just admire because he's like, all of this is like second nature,
Yeah. And he does it was crazy watching the process just for this. It was like, okay.
Yeah.
But it was great. And Sharal couldn't have been happier. She was like, she had never seen Evan's work really. And we went through the process and she was just like, yes. So really cool.
Great. Sharal get along with most of your friends?
Yeah. Cool. She's so easygoing and so friendly. She's really nice. If my friend didn't get along with her, it would be the friend's problem.
Dope. Good.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got a good one.
Totally.
Good for you.
Kind of like when you, you're a minimum wage worker and you stay at a 5-star hotel somehow. It's kind of how I feel. I'm like,
just got lucky.
Yeah. You're fishing for trout and you pull out a sturgeon. It's just like,
That's great, man. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. We're getting married. That's been a struggle a little bit to just try to figure out how to do it during the pandemic.
Right.
But
us too.
We went through a lot of this or that and what could work, and then we figured it out. And basically, long story short is we're basically sacrificing having a huge wedding because of the situation. And in doing so, we're spending money on a more elaborate, like we're going to have a better wedding than we would have because we're not going to have as many people there. And so we're getting to go to this place that we probably wouldn't have got to go to otherwise because their rates are lower because it's a pandemic and we're not having like 100 people. We're just having like, we're somewhere between 14 and 24.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So but it'll be close family. And like everyone I talk to that's married is just like, dude, you won by default. Like you don't want a big wedding because it's too hard to talk to everybody and the time goes by so fast. It's like your close loved ones, like you're lucky to have your mom and dad still in your life. So like, it'll be great. And so we're just trying to focus on it like that.
That's dope. That's going to be great. Yeah. We're navigating around what it's going to look like too.
It's hard.
Yeah, it'll get sorted out. So you've had Becker on there. Who else have you had on there? Have you had any of the original slap guys on there?
Dude, I want to get Dawes.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, Dawes. Here's the thing about me. I'm not Rob Collinson. I'm really bad. I told this story before, but I went to a skate shop with a bunch of shirts in my car. I walked into the skate shop, talked to the guy for a long time and had a good conversation and left. I'm not good at like being like, hey, want to take my shit? Like, Rob's really good at that. But that's my prelude to, I asked Dawes, like, do you want to be on the show? But it was a roundabout thing. Like, hey, Lance, the door's always open if you want to do, instead of like, Lance, let's do, like I got to be more assertive.
Just be like, I mean, that's who I'm talking about. I would love to listen to Lance. He's always impressed me.
Totally.
He's got some Felperisms too.
For sure.
It's real East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's real matter of fact. And sometimes it's belligerent, but it always balances out.
Yeah. I love Lance. He's got tons of travel stories. He's him and Drehoble's European tour would be enough for a good podcast. Like, shit like that. Lance, and he took, not for nothing, he took some of the best photos. Like him and Gaberman and Morford were always like,
just think of all the yellow T-shirts.
Yeah.
When I think of Lance, I think of the yellow T-shirt he always had in his car.
Put it on. Yeah. I remember when he painted the Vagabond. He was into painting and he went to the Vagabond pool, painted the whole pool, and then took Upson and Drehobl there, and it's like all orange, I think.
Oh shit.
And then he also went to Clipper and painted it all red for Heath's backside lip slide.
Oh shit.
Because he's like, I want it to look different, so I'm just gonna paint it.
Didn't Pailes do that too, or Pailes drew on it for Clipper? I remember seeing a photo of Pailes doing a back lip and it had all of his drawings on it. Looked dope.
That might have been Clipper, yeah. I think so.
Rob Collinson did that too. Painted that Jersey barrier red.
Oh yeah.
Or was that Tony Cox might have done that? Anyways.
Not sure, yeah.
Yeah. Back then, like, people were just starting to figure out like how to make, it's probably related to like Thomas Campbell's colored flashes. Do you remember when
his photos, filters?
Yeah, his photos were so unique just for that effort alone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And then, just a few, it's kind of related. And then here we are, mid-90s, and people are just starting to own their spots a little bit more and own their style of photography.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking pretty exciting time because you're watching like skaters not only trying to like be more individuals, but you've now got the photographers too that are trying to put their own brand or their own twist on it. That's an interesting time for skateboarding and filmmakers or videographers too. People were trying to just be them, more individual, like to bring out their very best rather than follow.
Right.
Right. Would you agree? Like mid-90s was like full of pioneers.
Yeah. I was just saying that the other day, like people like French Fred created his own, like he kind of was the guy that rolling long lens. Like if you saw rolling long lens footage, it was usually like either Fred or somebody was trying to copy Fred, but it was like this style. Like recently we were talking about this the other day, how everybody is filming like Bill Strobeck now. Like he would zoom in real tight on the face and everything was long lens and tight to get to this, bring out the persona in the person. Right. And the thing we were talking about is like, can you let those guys have their thing and not make it so overdone that the dude that created it can't even do it anymore because you blew it out.
Can't even get a paycheck.
Yeah. Or just, he doesn't even want to do it. Like, I wonder if Fred was like, dude, I don't even want to roll long lens anymore because every fucking Tom, Dick, and Harry out there is doing it. Yeah. And I want my shit to look different. And this is what I'm trying to do.
Well, I mean, same thing happened in photography. You think about Gaberman, who was highly influenced by Sally Mann, right? Photographer Sally Mann. He brings those influences into skateboarding. And Gaberman has all of a sudden like a signature look, right? Mm-hmm. Like how many people have tried to emulate Gaberman without even knowing the steps he took to get there?
Right.
You know, so you see it in like videography, you see it in graphics, you know, like you have some of the best teams in the world out there and their graphic department is like, just do what they're doing.
Right.
So it's like, I get it. It's big business and you just got to meet your deadlines and get shit out there. But, you know, to me, like the only thing worth paying attention to is the people that are like trying to just be a Gaberman. You know, like, and if Gaberman's not the best, Gaberman's an example I use because he's so, you know, relative. He's so close. Mm-hmm. And I've seen him struggle with, you know, hating his work and maybe being too influenced by Thomas Campbell and then starting to put outside influences into skateboarding and then it clicks, you know, like, so Gaberman's an example that's like, you know, it's accessible for me. But you know, in videography, like there was a lot of Dan Wolfs out there before there was, you know, Bill Strobecks, and then
right.
I mean, it's just that's worth it's a conversation I'm really interested in. Is like the people doing that, you know, the best they can do without biting too hard. You know?
Yeah, I was always a fan of Jason Hernandez because his parents had like their own. Basically, like they made those fisheye for DSLRs, the things that hold the camera so you could follow film. Okay. He made those like in his dad's garage. They made their own business, and his dad was really hands-on with that. And Jason has always, in my opinion, really pushed himself, much like John Miner, where you follow a guy as fast as you can to make the movement look faster than it actually, in other words, you want the guy skating to look fast. So if you're moving fast and low to the ground, that's going to keep it fast looking on the screen. And Jason was so, like we were talking about earlier, we're all our worst critic. And he would refilm things because he didn't like how he filmed it, not how the trick was done. And to get the skater to be like, that's a interesting, you know, dynamic when you're like, dude, I know you did that as good as you can, but I didn't film it as good as I can. Can you do it again as good as you can so I can try to film it as good as I can? Like that stuff is like, you know, Ty Evans, some of these guys have that like almost militant, if you will, like ideology about that stuff. And it goes a long way. Like when you see Grant Taylor's part in the debacle video for Nike, I just love how he's coming in from different angles and joining him. And like, it's just all moving so fast and it's filmed really steady and good. And it's like, that's a lot different than like an anti-hero approach.
I don't think I've ever met him, but I am a fan of like his work. And what it sounds like is you're explaining similar to like you just mentioned John Miner. But John fucking rips.
Yeah.
So John is like example of he's in on the juice. You know what I mean? He's in on the session. John Miner's footage usually looks the way it does because there's no separation. He's not the videographer per se. He's skating with them.
Right.
And I think that's kind of like what you're saying about Hernandez too.
Yeah.
If you could capture that sort of like relationship with the filmer and the skater, then that footage is going to be golden no matter what. So.
Yeah, John Miner bringing Westgate to SF and skating the hills like Julian with a good filmer was, it's funny because the video was called Gold, I think, or Stay Gold. It was gold. Yeah. Like that was like, holy shit.
Well, and I don't know whose idea that was, but that's, 10 years from now, that's what you'll remember. Like it's that marriage of like style, power, and spot filmer. It's like the chemistry is so legit.
Yeah,
you got to go that extra mile and sort of put it all together, put all the elements together. No pun.
I got a question for you. My fiance asks me this all the time, and I don't have the answer. And I think you might, but maybe you don't. But Greg Ware, aka Salba.
Yeah.
How is he Salba? Why is he Salba? And there was already a Salba. Like who decided to nickname him something that my girlfriend or Cheryl's always just like, okay, there's already a Salba. This is too confusing because you're talking about Salba. I'm like, which Salba? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of.
I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. This is like these nicknames were set in stone before I was even.
It was early, huh?
Yeah, so it had something to do.
Probably pads.
Maybe it was in Lowell, Mass. Maybe it was like later on in life. You would think like, oh, he goes to the spot and stretches. Maybe he got it from that. But I think it had to do with like having the Salba board and something. Maybe
he probably had the tiger stripe elbow pads, maybe or something.
Sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. But I'm not the dude to like help you with that.
I gotta
it's always
ask
been
him.
a mystery to me, and I've just left it as a mystery.
So. I'm sure that happened to you in the beginning stages of your relationship where you were explaining who's who to your girl and stuff. And then like
it still happens.
Certain names come up where they're like, wait, Staba or Salba? And you're like, no, these are two different people, and it's funny to kind of like see that from their perspective. Like, oh yeah, that is similar.
Yeah, it still happens. It's, cause some of these people they're not in our, they're not in our lives. So it's just, they only exist in these stories. You know what I mean? They only exist like, holy shit. I talked to this dude I haven't talked to in however many years, and like, so yeah, me and Tiffany have been together, over 10 years. So it's like, she has some reference, but she just lets me sort of babble about it. She doesn't question too much. So
that's the best.
She's a patient one.
That's important.
Yeah.
Salba, actually, he asked for a Dan Gallagher comment. I don't know what that means.
Ooh. Do you know who Dan Gallagher is?
I don't think so. Do I?
All right. So there's a handful of us who have like, these people that we would reference since we were in like high school. Right. And so for me, like one of the people that I hold in high regards, we mentioned Upson, right? There's a handful of people. Dan Gallagher would be one of these people who I would say helped shape a lot of us on the East Coast. And not only like through skateboarding, but with like in life too. He was just so interesting, right? When he moved out to San Francisco, he would like try to take me to Herzog films before like Herzog, like what was that small theater on 14th and Guerrero? What was that theater? You ever go there? I used to go there.
The Roxy?
Could be, yeah, the Roxy.
I think
so. Like, I remember when Gallagher, this is like 98, he was like, let's go see
Uh-huh.
Herzog at the Roxy, like for a Q&A. And I think I think it was about the movie like Little Dieter Learns to Fly, or something about one of those, you know, documentaries that kind of left an impact as far as if you're a Herzog fan. Okay, but Dan Gallagher, so interesting, man. He he invented so many tricks in our minds, and I ended up living with him for a bit, and he's just like a real epic dude. So my stories about him, there's too many, man. I don't know how to pull a Dan Gallagher story out that you would find interesting. There's too many.
Yeah.
Dan Gallagher was not like any of us. Like he had better taste than all of us, or he had taste in general. Like when you're a skate rat growing up, you're just a skate rat. You're just eating the latest magazine, or you're just everything about you, your verbiage, like how you look at life is just, you're obsessed. Right. So you're not really a balanced human being. You're just like a skate rat. So Gallagher was like an example of someone who was just interesting, as well as he would skate like 10, 12 hours a day, you know?
Sick.
So he was just wired a little differently, maybe more intelligent than the rest of us. But we give him the credit of inventing the hard flip. I mean, that's the folklore around him. He invented hard flips. So if you haven't heard that before, that's some real shit.
Wow. So, okay. Yeah, I can't remember if I don't know if I met him or anything. I'm sure I've heard you guys talk about him. What about that dude though? Greco always was super high on, I think his name's Shark, maybe. Oh,
Todd. Yeah. I mean, Todd is just an excellent dude. If you haven't met him, which I'm sure you have, he's just like
I don't think
a real grounded dude. And he would have been like,
was he a little older than those guys, so they looked up to him? Because it seems like Upson and Greco just love that dude.
Yeah, he was older than he would have been older than Jimmy, and maybe a year older than Tim.
Okay.
He had everything sorted, you know. There was no like drama with Todd. It was like he worked. He worked. He was the first one of us that had a full-time job. You know, he worked like a man and he skated like a man, and he was like a teenager. So, you know what I mean? It's like he had his priorities pretty set. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. I just know he's like excellent. So yeah, if Tim and Jim talk about him, it's for a reason.
Yeah. What was it like living at 14th with those dudes?
Oh man.
That's when you kind of really got to know Drehobl and Salva more. Yeah. Was Salva in there, or did you replace Salva?
Salva would have been the original 469 14th Street crew. Was I got the front room above the doorway. Drehobl was next to me. Down the hall was Palesy and Greg.
Okay.
So yeah, it was perfect. It was like the perfect skate house.
Uh-huh.
You know?
All East
Greg
Coast dudes.
Yeah, everyone spoke the same language.
A lot of chowder.
Had the same priorities. Everyone was down. Greg and I both worked like part-time day jobs, but the sessions were like, you know, start flat ground in front of 14th Street and then make your way down to China Banks. So it was like we just hit spot after spot after spot and just kept on going. So that was like the daily routine.
What's anything stick out from that time that's like, I mean, there was a lot of ripping, but was there any like Pat Duffy moments on that rail with Drehobl, like that you were like, God damn?
No. There's no like, just like such really rich quality time.
Mm-hmm.
Like good people doing whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And SF was affordable at that time. So I think if my rent was $300, you know,
that's insane.
I mean, how hard is that to come up with $300? You could work 4 days a month.
And now it's 3,000.
Yeah. So my rent was so easy. And one thing that I remember Phil pointed out to us once was, one thing that I think we did wrong is Drehobl was the only responsible one out of all of us.
Oh.
Like Greg Ware's always been responsible. but Drehobl was the one that like took care of business. And I remember Phil once like telling us all like, you need to give Dan a break. Like kind of like, yeah, like a big brother. Like you should give Dan a break. I didn't really understand that for many, many years until I was older. But yeah, Drehobl like paid for a lot of things.
Oh, were you working at all? Did you have like a part-time job or anything?
I worked at Starbucks in the marina, right?
Uh-huh.
And I opened and I got out at like noon. So I would skate to Starbucks on a longboard, and I saw that as training. But I thought I was in training. I would skate to work and skate back. So that's how my mind worked. And I would push, to the marina. I'd get to work at like 5:30, and I'd bounce by noon. I'd come home and like everyone was just getting up to go skating. That was how it worked for me. So
was that in the time that did you start getting stuff from Reel?
I first started I was getting boards from Zoo York actually.
Oh.
And that was like something that Mike Hernandez had hooked up and Ryan Hickey had hooked up. So I would get stuff from Venture and I'd get stuff from Zoo. And then I think I was going to Santa Rosa a lot, and I wanted to be down with like Gaberman and Miner and those guys in Missouri. So I got on ATM Click for a short window of time.
Sick.
Yeah. ATM Click.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of in meeting, Missouri pretty well.
Yeah. He was on the show.
Dude, one of the most excellent human beings.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like so selfless, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's not like butterflies between the ears. He's so selfless and so intelligent and a ripper. So yeah, I got the pleasure of like riding for ATM Click for a hot minute, and would go to like on trips with them or just like sessions with them and try to film with them.
Nice.
So it was like Zoo York, ATM Click, and then I think Greg Carroll would give me like think boards and I would spray paint over them, And then, yeah, Reel happened at some point.
Do you remember like getting a call or somebody seeing you and saying, hey, do you want boards, or how it went down?
I remember being in some video and skating China Banks, and it was, I think me and Gangemi were skating China Banks, and I did like a nollie tail slide. And I think
need that footage, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
Manzuri filmed it.
Yeah, maybe.
He did. He told me he has it. He just is looking for it still.
Yeah, he might have filmed it another time, but I think like the section that I remember is like Gangemi, who Robbie Gangemi rips, right? He would be another one to have on your show.
He was the first dude I ever filmed that the footage made it into a video.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
The second Thrasher video, he's olling a table lengthwise at Woodside.
Is that the school that goes downhill?
Yeah.
I was there.
That was the day that McKenny met Phil, and that's how McKenny got into the equation of Think eventually.
Wow.
It was a big day. There was like a Wicked demo, and then we all went to that school. I think Mike Carroll was there. I think there was lots of ripping.
If it's the same session I'm talking about, Robbie was there. Lenny Kirk was there.
Yeah,
Lenny Kirk was there, and
I gotta find that tape.
Heated, and then and I remember Phil ripping. So how did Tim? Oh wow, that's so interesting. So was Tim just there? Like that's my spot. That's my local spot. Like,
well, no, we went. Tim was friends with me. I was actually filming him for the local skate shop video at the time.
What would that have been?
It was called All Skate, and the video is called Redivider because the guy that owned the shop thought that Redivider was the longest word that you could spell both ways. It says the same thing, which I don't know if is even true, but that's what he did. But Tim has a really good part in there. It's like 2 songs, and it's like if you had never saw, I mean, to me, Tim is a really amazing skateboarder. And when you see this for the first time, just the way he does what he's doing is kind of like his own thing a lot. Yeah. And he always to me felt like an anti-hero vibe, kind of like that, kind of like, whatever, kind of raw and gnarly. And so we went to Wicked because it was the local demo, and then people were like, we're all going to Woodside. So we all went. And then I was friends with Phil too. So I think I was kind of the avenue between Phil and Tim meeting. And then, the rest.
I mean, are you holding up you got to hold up the Gone Fishing bumper sticker again, right? Isn't that what Tim sort of faded out with? Yeah, like
Tim is a huge fisherman.
All right, so an incredible fucking skater.
Yeah.
Right? Incredible personality. Well, what's that footage where he's singing Jimi Hendrix in some van?
Yeah, Foxy Lady. It's the end of the dedication, or it's one of the, I forget which video. It's that Pink video.
All right, so rad dude. Whenever he would come to 469, he had respect for the girlfriends that lived there. So like everyone loved him. And then he pieces out to like go fishing. Like, that's like, wow, that dude, that's like before anyone started doing that, Yeah. Like he didn't have a nervous breakdown. He didn't put out whack footage. He just was like, you know what I really like to do? I like to go fishing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know him that well, but big fan.
Yeah, me too. We've reconnected after, I feel like it was either 10 or 15 years that I was we just didn't talk. And then 2, maybe 3 years ago, reconnected. And we've been kind of like talking almost every day, like texting or whatever. And then skating, like he's the guy that I go skating with.
Yeah. You make these friendships, and it shouldn't be much effort. It should be easy. So if you take a 10, 15, 20-year break, and you hang out again, it doesn't matter. It's timeless.
That's what we were saying, right? It's like, a true friend when you can like spend a lot of time without the person. And when you reconnect, it's like nothing ever, everything's perfect. Like if it's all weird and stuff, it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like the good friends are the ones where you could just like be gone for a while and come back in and be like, what up? And it just like starts where you left off. Yeah,
I agree. And like, what's that word? Like you make concessions for friends that are close. Like they could do no wrong. You just I mean, if it's a good fit, it's a good fit. And hopefully that's a timeless fit.
For sure.
But what were we talking about? We're talking about Gangemi, right?
Yeah.
I like how this goes. Yeah.
Yeah. You were talking about China Banks skating with Gangemi, the nollie tail slide.
Oh yeah. So Wig Warland, we had an awesome session there. I forget what Gangemi was doing, but he's like one of those skaters that he's got it figured out. And if he can't do the trick, he's going to delegate someone else to do it. You got friends like that?
Yeah.
Like they would be like, Greg, you need to back disaster that, or you need to, you know what I mean? Like so me and I remember skating that day and Robbie just being like, just telling me, try this. So he like, man, he's inspired a lot of people in that way. He just like pulls out the best in you, So
totally. Yeah. I remember like him and Matt Reason early on were like they represented East Coast, what was different about East Coast and West Coast to me, like Dan Pencil later came and kind of explained to me like, all your spots are fucking perfect. All our spots are fucking cobblestone and, all this shit. But it kind of was true. Like that was the mentality. Like, dude, we're skating fucked up shit. And when we come out here, of course we love everything. Like it's almost made to skate comparatively. Yeah. So
that's growing up on the East Coast, that's a lot of people's like their conversation is like I learned kickflips in Gaberman's garage, right? Like I learned kickflips in an area that was like
stationary.
no bigger than this room. You know what I mean? And then when we figured that out, then we built a mini ramp in there. So we're talking about, it's like East Coast skaters of that time, like, dealt with a lot of bullshit and made it work.
Right.
Like not too many of us were like crybabies about spots. And so when we got to something that was good, it was just like you skate until you can't. You know, it's like that blue collar work ethic. It's like you never had it this good. So
yeah, and you're dealing with all kinds of conditions with the weather too, that like out here it's like 60 to 70 all year round. Like you don't have snow or any of that shit. And back there it's like when you can get some, you're like, I gotta get it because it's snowing half the time or whatever. Huh. Yeah. It's interesting to see kind of like that now, the perspective of all that stuff, and kind of be like, okay. You kind of really start to figure out why people are the way they are too. Like, you know,
why they're deemed like high maintenance,
right?
Why they're go with the flow. You know, it's all relative to like what got them there in the first place. So, but yeah, so you've had Manzuri on the show. I'm going to go watch that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
He was dude, some of the stories are so sick. Like he went to George Harrison's castle or something with Tony Hawk and Lance Mountain. And I think either Bob Dylan or Tom Petty was there. I think
it's Tom Petty.
Yeah, So yeah, he's had a charmed life though. Me and him actually filmed Toad's wedding together.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I've known Mike pretty well for a while. I think I met him mostly, I met him in the city, probably Adrenaline days, but then like once he was working for America and S and all that, I started to really, through Thrasher, our working together. Like, you know, there's certain guys that you're like, this is more than a coworker. This is actually a cool dude, and I want to build a friendship with. And he was one of those dudes for sure. Yeah,
similar to what I was saying about Gallagher, Dan Gallagher. You surround yourself with Mike. You know, you're around Manzuri, you're going to learn some shit.
Right.
And if you don't, you're an idiot.
You're not paying attention. Yeah,
dude, really, really interesting. You know, really humble, and like his wife too, Sharon, like they're just like, they're just excellent human beings. So like, yeah, honored to know those guys.
All right. Before we get to current day status, we got to talk about one last thing. The old Slap Angel.
Yeah.
How did that happen? Did someone ask you to design a logo for Slap, or were you just doing art and then someone said, oh, that would work for Slap? Or
I mean, the mentality I had at that time, I would not be able to like come up with, if it was under the trappings of, hey, you know, you're an artist, if you can come up with the logo that we're going to use for the next 20 years, you know, let me see what you got. Like, that's just not like a reality. It's like,
you mentioned pressure,
and it's something that just sounds like nothing I would be a part of at that time. You know, it took me a long time to be even to the degree of professional that I am now, you know, and I'm not even like, you know, definitely a pro in a lot of ways. But so you mentioned 469 14th Street. Do you remember skating flat ground out front?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember across the street there was that ledge and it always had like bullshit graffiti on it? There was like a wooden fence with a ledge. It was right next to Naps. Naps was a bar. Naps 2, I think it was
by the
called.
Laundromat, right?
Yeah. So it went, yeah.
Laundry bar. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool setup. You do your laundry and you go have a beer and play pool. I mean, it's a good time. But there was this wall. So there was this driveway and then there was this wall. And I remember going out like, you know, at night and just painting on that wall, just painting, just bullshit that I would be doodling. You know, it's no like graffiti aspirations, like no like it seemed like a fun thing to do. So we would go out and paint on the wall and whatever. And sometimes I would have a girlfriend with me, or sometimes I would just be doing it by myself. But that's kind of like where that character developed. And so you're talking about a good year, maybe, of just doodling it. Like whenever I would go to skate spots, I would draw on someone's board, or, I always had a marker in my pocket and I would just put it somewhere.
Were you doing grip tape art?
Yeah, but not like extensive, nothing memorable. I would do grip tape art, but it was just like a written coined phrase that I heard, or a lyric that I heard, or like nothing too extensive. But so that kind of that character evolved naturally, and it used to be really sharp features, like the wings. Just the character was very sharp, and then it kind of got rounded and more fluid. And I don't know if this is too much of an interesting story, but this gets back to like right time, right place, sort of magic. At the time of that Jersey barrier spot, that spot that's now the Gap headquarters, that was like it was kind of like a it was a little pit that had Jersey barriers around it and bank going up to it.
By the Bay Bridge?
Yeah. So I would skate down there in session after work.
That place was sick. McKinney had the cover of Transworld, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Phil backside tailslide around the corner.
Yeah, through the corner. Yep. I filmed that.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I remember going there with Upson once, and he was doing a front blunt, and we were sort of we were betting each other who could land their trick first, and the bet got so high it was like a month's free rent if you land it right here. And I'm totally going off on a tangent, but anyways, I owed him a month's of rent.
He made it
because he did a front blunt. Right. That's just. So I'm not like good at bets, right? But all right, let me rewind a bit. So I'm leaving 469. This is like a year after doing that doodle here and there. I'm skating down. I stop at Rainbow Groceries, which is like a spot that you would go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And outside of Rainbow Groceries, I find like this graffiti marker, like a fat, extra fat graffiti marker, and it had like Velcro in it. So I'm imagining it. Some guy was doing graffiti, and it like, how graffiti guys, they Velcro their shit into their jacket, like Twist used to do it.
I didn't know.
You ever seen that? Anyways, yeah. So I find this marker, and I'm like, this is sick, and I skate all the way down to the spot, and no one's there, right? This is like pre-cell phone, so nobody that I'm supposed to meet is there, and I just start doing the same doodle that I've been doing on, that I'm annoying the shit. Everyone around me is so annoyed by it because I'm doing it all the time. And so I put it up in that spot on the inside. And then all of a sudden, it like from that day, it shows up in like photos, right? And then Lance is like, hey, what's that thing that you do? What is that all about? And I was, I gave him like a loose answer of like what it meant to me. And like, and then he just asked, he's like, do you think we could do something like that for a t-shirt? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. But I put it off and put it off and put it off. And then the one that they used, I had drawn when I went to Slap one day. I just drew it on a piece of paper, and then that became that. So it's not like the best story, but that's kind of like, I think that's a proper like trajectory of like, it went from doodling obsessively for a good year and a half to it then becoming something.
So was it kind of like your tag? Like, wherever you were going, were you putting it up?
I don't say it was my tag because I didn't have like the ambition of a graffiti artist, like good graffiti is like everywhere all the time, good graffiti is like a virus. It's just like there, it shows up and it just takes over. And I would draw it on people's skateboards, and I would draw it at places, but it wasn't like I was drawing it at a graffiti spot.
Okay.
And I don't mean to make the distinction that there's a difference, because I just want to be clear. Like, I have a lot of respect for graffiti artists, right? a lot of admiration for graffiti artists. So I was kind of dabbling in what they do without actually taking on the heat that a lot of graffiti artists do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that.
So I would say, because some people are like, yo, he's a graffiti artist. And I'm not, that's not really all that accurate, you know?
No, it would be more like not a graffiti artist, but more of like a mark, like I was here kind of vibe. Like I went to this spot, I put this thing up, like I was in Ripon because there's my thing, you know?
That's more accurate. It's like, again, less ambitious and more like if I had a marker and if we were done skating.
So it kind of came about though, if just to clarify this, is you were putting it up in a bunch of areas, kind of doodling with it, and then somebody got a photo with it in the background, and Lance had seen it around and saw it in the photo, and it kind of sparked that idea.
It's a long time ago too.
Sure.
Those are my loose markers. Like I think that's how it happened.
Huh.
But I do know it happened. It only happened because Lance was like, you know, let's use this. This is interesting. And then, or this is dope or whatever he said. But it only happened because of Lance. And then like after the first year, he was like, the shit, you know, is sticking. It seems to be sticking. People like it. I remember him having some sort of analogy of like, you know, icon images in American history. And he was trying to like school me a bit on like everything from like the Harley Davidson logo to it could have been some car logo at the time. But he kind of walked me through the history of images with wings and their importance in American iconography.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's Lance just kind of freestyling. But I remember that standing out as like being a little trippy. But, you know, maybe he's right. That's seems to work. And nowadays you throw anything with some wings on it, you're good.
All right. So I guess I got to make my next logo with some wings.
Yeah, dude. Just put a microphone, you know, fishing lure hanging on the microphone, some wing. Good.
Well, dude, I'm going to pull this out and show you this. But I told Jeremy Fish, what if we recreated this logo and instead said, I'd rather be fishing, I'd rather be casting, and it's the podcast.
It's tight. I'm down with it. Whatever happened to that shoe company?
Vox. Well, the thing that happened was they had this amazing team, but they didn't put a lot of effort into their shoes. So their shoes sucked.
oh, like iPath.
Worse than iPath. Like iPath was like Nike Dunks compared to Vox. Yeah, Vox was like you really needed insoles really badly if you were going down 4 or more stairs. And it was just, I think those guys, you know, I love Ed Dominic and the crew that he assembled, the team with Shakas and all. It was like the best shit. Like E-Man, Hewitt, Navarrete, Drehobl, Cravette, Strubing, Duffy. There was so many dudes, and it was just great times. And they all had that same ethos where it was like, we're going to have fun before that's more important than all the other bullshit. So, you know, you always
Ricky
had like,
Iola too, no?
Yeah, Ricky Iola. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a great team. I guess shoes isn't as easy as, you know, a lot of shoes also got taken out when the big dogs came in and started wanting to snatch up, you know, Costin and P-Rod go to Nike and Converse makes a team and Adidas has more than Gons and Lance. And so the big money kind of came in and swept. We're lucky that Lakai's still around and I think Emerica, but a lot of the core shoe companies, you know, DVS is gone, Circa. Is iPath coming back maybe? I don't know. I see Field is out there just doing it. He's really out there right now. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know what he has going, but I'm backing it. I mean, Field is amazing. Like Field is to me like one of those guys that should still have a pro board out there, and he should still be recognized for, you know, his influence. But, you know, I don't know. It's weird, right? Skateboarding's weird. Like,
yeah,
you could draw the parallel between like the struggle of like jazz musicians, of some of these guys were like influenced so many people, but never really had a pot to piss in, you know? But in skateboarding, you know, maybe it's a little different. Maybe Matt definitely had a pot to piss in, but he lost the pot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think, yeah, it's everybody gets fucking off the, you know, sidetracked, if you will, for a little bit, and some things happen and partying gets taken over and lots of different things. And then you kind of realize what really matters and hope you can still hold on to it.
But you think about Field and you think like skateboard royalty. I know that's kind of a overused term, but if there ever was like a sort of, if there ever was someone to, you know, to write the story of skateboarding and how some of these guys impacted other people in life and skateboarding and all that, like Field's up there. Like Matt
Definitely.
Field is a major influencer. So yeah, what if he's getting iPath together? Dope. Do it.
Yeah.
Rasa Libre. I think Rasa Libre is still like, I might own like 3 skate shirts. I think that's one of them that is in heavy rotation.
Sick.
Rasa Libre.
Yeah. I know Pailes and Carl, I don't know if Matt's involved, but Satori just got revamped.
Yeah. I mean, I'm up here. I hang out with Brent. It sounds like it's a good program.
Rad.
I know Brent's on that Satori again. They put out some cruiser wheels. Yeah, Satori, it's a good time for it to come back. They got really big, right? Do you remember being in Whole Foods and like you'd be in line paying for whatever you're paying for, and you look over and there's like a Satori hat? You remember? It got so big.
Yeah, no, Satori.
It's like such a weird scene. Like they went pop. They like blew up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what happened there. Where I don't even know where they went. I don't know how to follow that. But it seems
skateboarding
like
blew up though. I mean, I go to Disneyland and I can't count on 2 hands how many Thrasher shirts I see. It's crazy. Like, you know, or at the airport or wherever you're going, it's just like skateboarding is, or skateboard style. They don't necessarily even skateboard, but like they drew to the Vans shoe or the Thrasher shirt or the hat that says, I don't know, you know, it's interesting. It's crazy to me. Like, wow.
And in that, I mean, what we're talking about here is like skateboarders are really influential, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
I want to like, that needs to be protected. Like there still needs to be new skaters, young skaters that have that same influence, you know?
Exactly.
And I don't think it's going to come the way of like face tattoos.
Yeah.
You know, because like all these guys we're talking about, it's not like topical. The influence Matt Field had on skateboarding, that's not topical. Matt Field is also someone who introduced like raw skating, right? And somehow spirituality.
Right.
Right. You know, Matt would come to 469, sleep on the floor in the hallway, and he'd be up before everyone else. He would skate up to Dolores and go do yoga. Like he was like tapped into like a vibe that was like, I don't know, that became like a thing. Like before Matt Field, and I'm not talking shit on Palesy, because Palesy is someone I care about. But, you know, Matt Pailes was like preppy Jack Kerouac. You know, he was like a ladies' man.
Yeah.
Like he was a ladies' man.
Hey, he's still a ladies' man. Come on.
No doubt. But I mean, he was like preppy, like Jack Kerouac, listen to Bob Dylan. Think about the influence that Field brought, you know, like
right.
It's not too far after Field had his impact. You know, Pailes would be at the dinner table reading the Bible, smoking a spliff. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like, so that, and I don't think that's like an isolated incident. Like,
no, like Tony Cox, a lot of those dudes, right?
Dreads came into skateboarding pretty hard, and it wasn't like Alva Dreads. It was like Yes I. It was like Rasta, like respect. Like, so again, we're talking about trends, but we're not talking about topical trends. We're not talking about Thrasher sweatpants.
Yeah.
You know, like skaters need to bring that impact, bring that influence today for the next generation to be, you know, viable.
I think what you're saying right here, if I can, is without Matt Field, there might not be a ganja in your brain.
Ganja in the meditation, ganja in my brain. Ganja we take away my stress and strain. Ganja in my meditation, ganja in my brain. Marijuana take away my stress and strain.
The huge Matt Pailes hit might not exist without Field.
That's what I'm trying to get at, and I'm sorry it took me so long, but yeah, you nailed it. That's why you're doing what you're doing, and I'm.
Man! All right, well, let's talk about the Otherness.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
How and when?
How long? We've been chipping away at this since early 2016.
16.
Yeah. So Tom Horning. Do you know Tom from back in the day?
I know who he is. I don't know him.
Well, Tom is a guy who's from Louisville. You know, legendary from like his days working at skating for GNS to like Creature to Scarecrow. An amazing skater from Louisville. He lived in SF for many years with like Tony Cox and Heather Rose. Yeah, so I've known Tom for a long time. Tom hits me up out of the blue when we were still in Oakland. And he's like, you know, I've been thinking about this for a while, and I'm going to contact 5 people to see if they want to do this company. And if all of you say yes, then let's try to do it. If one of you says no, then that's a sign that we shouldn't do it. So, you know, I tell Tom, like, I'm curious as to what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm down. Let's see where it goes. You know, I love skateboarding still. Whatever I can contribute to this crew, like, sounds good. Sounds good to me. So that's how it started. Pretty organically, a conversation about us starting a brand together. And then there was a good like year. Who was
the crew?
Who got that same phone call or text message?
It was 5 guys.
Yeah. So it was myself, Barker Barrett, Shannon May, Mark Johnson, and Tony Cox. So everyone there that is on that list has, you know, influenced skateboarding in heavy ways in my book. Right. So it resonated with me. And I imagined, because I'm the dude who's like still, you know, an artist, I'm imagining that was going to be my contribution, you know,
right.
Like, that's just how I took it. So, so everyone was down, and shortly after we had a group text that went probably a year and a half, where all of us chimed in on ideas and kept it going. And it just sort of evolved. It evolved that way. A lot of great ideas. And, you know, I started like kind of equivalent to, do you use Slack at all for work? Slack?
Yeah.
So I started like an equivalent to Slack. This, I think, what is it called? Trulio or something, some sort of platform where I started like grabbing all of our ideas that were in a text message form and putting a date to them and sort of cataloging all these things that we could do. So I started doing that, and then I presented it to everyone like, hey, if you have any ideas, put it here. Here's how you log on. This would be a great way for us to not just brain fart all of these ideas, because, you know, you get on a group text, and I don't know if you're like me, but I shut those things off. You know, I like group texts, like I mute them and then I catch up with them when I can.
Yeah.
So it's not really the best way to like put great ideas. Great ideas get lost. So yeah, anyway, so my part early on was just collecting all these good ideas, and just I believed in the whole vibe.
Huh.
Like I thought we could pull it off. And then it came time to like finding a name, getting a name, paying for the name to be patent pended, and it just kind of evolved like any other small brand would.
How did the name come up?
We all had different names, and I think Mark had access to a lawyer at the time. So I think he just took all of our names and gave it to the lawyer to see which one was taken, which one wasn't. Which, by the way, is, you know, if you're going to spend a lot of time with a brand, you know, having control of that name is kind of crucial, you know?
Mm.
So yeah, so Mark took care of that. That was amazing. And it came back to us, and we had a few names to play with, and we just kind of went through the names as to which one seemed to flow the best. And, you know, as it works out, like Otherness just had the rhythm that we were looking for. Otherness had the vibe that we were looking for. You know, it's a word that comes with a lot of history, so you have to be respectful of how it's used. And but if you could rationalize and get through that part, it's a pretty powerful word. So yeah, we just kind of like made the brand happen that way.
Curious, as an artist, when you're thinking of a name, are you thinking at all when you're thinking of the name how it could look, or are you like, what is your thought process on that? Like, would you ever come up with the name and you're like, dude, it's not going to work like aesthetically, but it's a great name? Or like, what's your process there?
I mean, you know, I wouldn't be the best person to ask, because I'm not starting companies left and right, but it was part of our conversation, and it's a great question. You got to consider, like, you know, how many companies are in skateboarding right now with the letter A in them, you know, or like how many have the letter O? So it's like, you got to sort of like navigate around, what's this going to look like in a year from now, 5 years from now? So you kind of want to get something, a name that's going to be less about you in that moment and more about like what it could be. You know what I mean? So yeah, we considered all those things, and it took a long time to get it to work out.
Part of that question for me is like, before you finalize what the name's going to be, is part of the process like coming up with a logo at the same time that could work. So you're like, you know what I mean? Like, if I can't come up with a logo, this name's not going to work.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's totally part of the equation, right? Like, how are we gonna unravel all of this? And to be honest, I'm in love with images and illustration and how photography balances and things like that. I wouldn't say my strong point is coming up with a logo. Like, I'm not a logo guy. If I was more like a graphic designer, if I had more graphic designer than I do like art chops, I think that would definitely play into the conversation. But if you look at our Instagram, like, I just throw up whatever when I feel like it. And maybe that's not the way to do it, but you know, I'm still, you know, I'm at a certain, I'm into Instagram, and then I'm not. So I know it's our only way to get out there and have the public look at our stuff. But at the same time, I like for whatever we're putting out there to have some sense of hand involved. You know, it doesn't have to be necessarily like cursive or hand style, but I'm into like the texture of hand drawn images. So
sure, okay,
it's a great question. It's one I still haven't figured out yet. It's how to make that logo timeless. But what a weird time to even have a brand out. I don't know if you're aware of like how hard it is to get skateboards made.
Yeah.
But, you know, before you before we got on this talk, I was instant messaging with Dandy at 510. Oh, she's a sweetheart, man. She's a sweetheart. And I just basically laid it out to her. I was like, this next series is comprised of, 4 different wood sources, all done by myself. I've got these boards for you. I'll have these boards for you at a certain date. So it's like,
sick.
Everything is like, it's so gnarly on this series. Like literally my fingerprints are on the boards, like smudged, you know what I mean? Like first time doing a lot of this stuff. And
how cool. Yeah, I saw that thing you sent me yesterday, the conveyor belt or whatever.
And dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just like, hey, can I use your machine? Cool. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Right.
So I'm making a lot of costly mistakes, but just because of that, it gives me that much more. I'm that much more in it. Like just having like, so what? I can't get on the phone with JT at Bareback and be like, hey, what's going on with this? It's all me. So every little morsel that comes out, I'm so proud of it because I still believe in it in these crazy times where I can't even do the simplest of things.
Right.
So it's a weird thing at this age to care so much about a brand like I do, but it is what it is,
So Mark's no longer a part of it, right?
Mark kind of ducked out. I think we had like I said, a good year and a half of communicating, and I don't really know how to approach that one. I think he just I think he was going through a lot of personal stuff, maybe, right? And I don't know him personally, right?
Oh.
So I can't really speak on that, but I think he was going through stuff where he couldn't really concentrate on this collaborative effort, and that's what it is, And you've done collaborative situations. You got to depend on each other. You got to come through.
Right.
Like it only works if everyone's putting in their 2 cents. And I think he just had to focus on different things, and it just kind of dissolved. End of the day, Mark had a career that not many people can navigate through. So respect, you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
I don't know what he's been through.
Right.
A lot of it, I don't care, it's none of my business. So, it just kind of happened that way. I mean, I could sense he was carrying a lot of weight when I was introduced to him to do Otherness. And a lot of that weight would interrupt what we were trying to do. Right.
Right.
I was talking with Robbie Gangemi about this the other day. A lot of skaters, they're doing this for so many years, right? 20 plus years. All they know is they're dependent on the advice from those close to them, whether they're friends or not, whether it's a business relationship or not. That's a very insecure, that creates a very insecure sort of chemistry, right? Imagine if you couldn't really trust your coworkers, they're just going to say yes to you and they always have, right?
Yeah.
That makes for a very unbalanced individual. And so I was talking about it with Gangemi, and we're just kind of spitballing about how difficult it is to talk or to deal with pro skaters. And, some of them do, some of them pull their head out of their ass and figure it out, and they're decent folks, right?
Yeah.
And some people just can't figure that out.
Yeah, that's true.
Whatever. I'm not an expert, and like I said, shit's interesting, but respect at the end of the day.
Right. And then since you were living up there, was it just natural that Brent got involved with it?
Yeah. I mean, I would go to that Silas's skate park. What is it? Assholes Garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty amazing spot.
Fuck.
So moving here, I had to connect with a whole new crew of people. And
Joey Peppa.
I don't know Pepper too much, but that dude's rad.
Okay.
Nikhil is who used to get me to go on sessions, because Nikhil is a key holder, and he's just
sick. He's one of my oldest. When I first started filming him, Sean Conley and Kenny Reed were kind of my crew. Like,
right?
Yeah, we'd go out in the city at night, Union Square and all that. I let to kill for days.
Frontside half cab, no slides.
Yeah.
Oh my God. On the high ledges at Union Square. Yeah. He's a class act.
Mm.
Solid dude. Good parents. Yes. So what's your question? So I would go to Asshole's Garage. I would skate. And then I would see Brent. And I knew Brent a little bit because at the time I was down, getting stuff from Deluxe and getting stuff from Real. We would go on these weekend trips, and I remember we first met when he was like 13. We went on a San Luis Obispo trip, like the Real van, 2 vans full of dudes. So he would have been getting stuff from like Stereo or Antihero or something at that time. So I knew Brent,
maybe Stereo. I can't remember.
Little kid, right?
Yeah.
So we knew of each other's name. Knew of each other since then, and then it was easy to like, oh hey, what's up? I remember you. And then you skate more and more, and then all of a sudden it happens naturally. And he's such a balanced dude. Brent is he's like so awesome to watch skating.
Yeah, he's a treat, especially like at Burnside and stuff. If the weather's good up there, you got perfect weather and you got gas to go anywhere. Do you have one park that stands out as like the best? Like if I could get to this park, that's the one I want to go to first pick.
I don't know if you're asking the right dude, because any chance I get and it's beautiful out, I go to this one curb that I go, this is out by Smith and Bybee. It's like a marshland. It's like a little, maybe like a 20-minute drive, 15-minute, 20-minute drive. But there's like a bike path alongside this really nice like marsh sort of area where people go and canoe. Like it's a canoe hotspot, right? People
okay.
Canoeing the ball off. Cairo had found it and told me about it. And he's like, I think I found a curb. This might be sick. And I go to the spot. We broke the curb in, we fixed it, we painted it. It's just like this massive, long, double-sided curb. And so I don't have a good answer for you, man. Whenever I get a chance and I'm like feeling strong, I go there with my dog and skate.
Okay, so. Fair enough. I got the double-sided at Pier 27 is my slappy haven, and it has a double-sided curb and like slappy curbs everywhere, and then there's like a downhill double-sided.
Oh, dude,
it's pretty legit. It's like,
nice.
Yeah, you got to go early though, because it's kind of like people know about it, so it can get blown out
by skaters.
Yeah, but right now with pandemics, so it's at like where the boats dock, the cruise ships.
Yeah.
But that's not happening right now. So it's completely empty always. No parking lot or whatever.
Wow.
Honeybee, shut up.
What kind of dog is that?
A little fucking, it's like part Chihuahua, part Pomeranian.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
Yes. A little dog.
Yeah.
She's getting old though. Do you want to read this graphic thing?
I was just trying to give you material. It's something that I thought was funny. It's just like,
I like the part. I think so. Basically, it's a list of what to think about, or when you're making a board graphic, right?
Yeah. I thought I was being funny about it. It's something that I put up in pharmacy for when we did like a board release for Brent. So they asked me to do I did like a parlor style artwork, like drawings from like early 2000s and just skateboards and stuff. Anyways, I threw that up there. But yeah, I thought it was interesting because I don't see that too much. I think everyone has these rules and regulations for everything in life, but I'm not seeing that much in skateboarding. Like I'm not seeing people with their to-dos and not to-dos, or their strategies for like what they're creating. And I just thought I was just trying to be funny. So I sent that to you. But yeah.
Well, one of the things that I like on there that I like it all, but one of them that sticks out a little more so was give Basquiat a fucking break.
Oh. That's like been a pet peeve of mine for so long.
Is he just everybody's taken it and beat it to the ground?
Basquiat's such an important artist. And I remember when I first learned about him, I couldn't get enough of his images, right? We're talking like mid 90s, late 90s. And isn't it crazy that that's still happening? Like people are still like, they're still like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, his work embodies so much energy and freedom, and people are absorbed or get really absorbed into his work.
Right.
They read his prose, and they like try to understand, like, you know, the relevant, like, why is it so relevant still? And whatever. So that's Basquiat, right? He's an amazing artist. Okay. But I guess my thing about people biting him so hard is like, you could start there, right? But it doesn't have to be like your whole shtick. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that could be your training wheels is studying Basquiat, but eventually you have to have your own language. And so that's all I mean. Like, you know, that's all I mean when I say that. It's just like, do your own shit, man. You know, just do your best. And if the other influences jump in, then acknowledge those, right? And go in another direction. Like, I don't mean to be like a know-it-all, but this is like stuff. I think I read about this in like an old Robert Rauschenberg interview where he talks about, you know, the people that he works with and he's influenced by. And I'm not doing it any justice, but the takeaway from that interview I read from so long ago was just if you find yourself doing things like other people, just go in another direction. Like, acknowledge that you're biting. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man.
That's a good lesson.
I'm just trying to be funny, but
well, but does he? If you got an artist Mount Rushmore, is Basquiat in there?
Oh, dope. That's a great question. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
who's on his side?
You know, it's interesting, right? You like Morrissey, and then you learn about Vinnie Riley. You know what I mean? You like Basquiat, you learn about Cy Twombly.
So these are the influences that they had.
Yeah, I think so. So it's like it's just, they're all so intertwined that So yeah, Basquiat's up there, Rauschenberg's up there, and then I don't know. I've got, you know, there's several other artists that I don't know how to just pick the rest. Yeah. But those two people were like so accessible. You know what I mean?
Right.
You like Robert Rauschenberg? I
don't know.
I mean, Robert Rauschenberg, just spend an afternoon looking at his images. It's like, they're so heavy, like what you see in skateboarding.
Okay.
Now, you know what I mean? And it's so accessible, the images, the photos he took, and how he combined them with paint, and what he would call them, and how he would, like, his theories behind what these images meant. It's like, you don't have to be a scholar or like have a, you know, academics as far as like, he's really interesting. If you read a few things.
I'm diving in. I don't know a lot of art. Like, I know the obvious ones, but or maybe I don't know the obvious ones apparently, but I know a few, but I'm amazed. Sometimes I go to places that there's painting, like people that have collections.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you I mean, maybe I could pull Picasso out of my sleeve or something, but like, you know.
Well, we're talking about like, so it resonates, right? And maybe you'll like write it down, or maybe you'll jot it in the notes section of your phone. You're like, that was interesting.
Right.
So then you go home and you research it, and you figure out what this person is about, where they came from, what school they kind of came with. And then that opens the door to someone else. I mean, art is the same as like cooking and music and like skateboarding.
Yeah, or photography, which is an art, but like that's kind of more, you know, when I go to MoMA and the exhibits, I'm usually going to like see photographer stuff, and then there will also be paintings, but I don't know as much about that stuff.
Yeah, so at some point, check out Sally Mann.
Oh yeah, you mentioned, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
That's Gaberman, right?
And like Gaberman would write to her.
No way.
Right?
Okay.
Like, hey, this photo of your daughter.
I need Gaberman on the show, actually. We got to talk.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
He's outside of what he's done commercially, like his influence on skateboarding is unparalleled.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to be a little Woody Allen about it. You know what I mean?
Which is great.
Could be great. Sometimes it's annoying. It's annoying as fuck. But yeah, could do no wrong. Gaberman and his wife Noelle, like they're just like really amazing, like image makers. So, do you during the pandemic and stuff, Sharal and I, because we take this thing, we're taking it serious, and we've been kind of like abiding by we're what they call rule followers. So when they tell you to stay indoors and wear a mask, that's what we're doing. Anyway, we got into documentaries. That's kind of been our thing. We watched, in the first 3 months, we watched 50 documentaries, and it was just fucking epic. Like, I've always been into documentaries, but I've never like kind of structured my life to like watch a bunch, right? And soak them in. Takes patience. Yeah. Dude, the information that comes with it, and just like, I mean, there was some amazing ones. Like, there was just making this time go by in a positive way. Like, to me, what I always say is, if I learn or I progress, it was a good day. Like, those are the two things. On top of that, I like to laugh. Those are some important values that I have, right? I'm a simple man. But I'm wondering, do you guys watch? I know you mentioned not too much TV and stuff, but like, will you watch a home movie or a documentary or any stuff? Dude, I don't think I watch as much TV as everyone else. Oh, okay. I just try to like not watch it because it's like I have other things I want to take care of. Like, Tiffany exposes me to so many amazing films and documentaries and shows, and as well as we watch bullshit too. Like, whatever, we'll take what we can get. But yeah, there's nothing I would say. Are you asking me like what I'm watching? What I'm feeling?
Something like, I saw this. What was it called? The Odessa Project. I think it was about this dude that stole a submarine. It was so fucking epic, and like it's a documentary, and they're like talking about this guy, right? And he's like just this elusive dude, and the guys are like, you're never gonna get this guy, he'll never fucking do an interview, right? He's like Drehobl, but like in that world. And then the next scene is the dude in a submarine, location unknown, and he's doing the interview, and he's like kind of like Scarface, just like, what the fuck you want to know? And it's so amazing. Like, for sure Greco saw this and loved it. It's like that kind of guy, just like fucking whatever. And I don't know, that one stuck out to me. And then I really got into, I started like tripping on myself, because I was like, dude, you are obsessive about serial killers, like all that stuff, that like the Unabomber, the Night Stalker, those are so amazing.
First 48. Do you watch First 48?
Or no?
Isn't that about First 48 of like of crime solving? Isn't that a thing?
Maybe I haven't seen it though. Maybe I gotta.
Tiffany's big on that too. She's
okay. Like Mindhunter. It was that one.
Whatever you're gonna say, she's watched them, and she's really into it. Right. But honestly, like I hear what you're saying, and hopefully you could text me some good things to watch.
Yeah.
But I get so brain fried from in recent months from work or whatever that I just go listen to like really quiet records.
Oh yeah, vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl. I've spent some money on a sound system that sounds pretty good, and
nice.
So I can't like.
Do you have an extensive vinyl collection? Like, if you move, is it a bitch?
No.
Okay.
It's like, it's mellow. It's like 5 boxes maybe. It's mellow. Okay. But it's like, I just, to answer you, like I'll hit you up for like recommendations, but like, man, in the last 6 months, I've been having like serious brain fried moments where I just need to
chill out,
do nothing, man. And like in those do nothing, I like take notes. You talked about this is like a therapy session. Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, I go upstairs, put on a record, and I go fishing.
Yeah. And goes back to kind of meditation. Like meditation can be whatever you want to call it. Like it could be just going on a walk. It could be listening to a record. Like it's basically blanking everything out except for one thing where you can keep your mind like and not judge yourself, bring yourself back into the moment. Like, yep, this is a microphone. Yep, this is a microphone. Like whatever it is.
We're all doing the best we can, man. Fucking A.
Are you going out at all? Do you go out? Like, can you go out? What's Portland like during this?
From
the news, it looks really scary.
Portland?
They had those demonstrations up there that were looking like they were going to send in SWAT teams and stuff. And I was talking to Joe Brook. He's like, dude, that's like one block of the whole city or something. It's like, it's one area.
Well, he says he is kind of right, but we live in North Portland. We live right off of Lombard, and there is a police office, it's just a place where they do a lot of their heavy paperwork and signing of these important documents. Is like less than a mile down the street. So it's true what Joe's saying, but during the summer, and they were protesting every night, there would be helicopters. You could smell the tear gas. You could smell the smoke. Oh. I would go to my sister's, she lives 8 blocks away. We'd hang out, distant in the backyard, and then we'd have we couldn't go home because the roads were blocked off because protesting and police, SWAT teams and stuff. So to answer your question, it's like nothing I've ever experienced.
Right. What a crazy time to be alive.
Like every night is so weird. So yeah, it was literally every night we would go to bed hearing helicopters and smelling that smell and hearing people on the loudspeaker. So yeah, it's so trippy, man. So trippy. So, but yeah, we somehow navigated through that, and everybody's really hopeful about where we could go. So we'll see. I don't go out, man. I don't go out.
Okay.
I go to Home Depot, mask up, go to Home Depot.
Get some salsa sauce. Fucking wax up those curves.
No doubt. Yeah, I just drop boards off at local shops, go to UPS. That's kind of like those are my priorities.
Who are the local shops up there? Shrunken Head?
Shrunken Head is so tight.
I love Shrunken Head. We're doing a collab, Shrunken Head and Talkin Schmit. Can you believe it?
Shrunken Head is tight. Smart Collective is super dope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is pharmacy up there? Cal or something? No.
Yeah. Cal's is like the go-to. Everyone goes there. It's so surreal going into these skate shops and seeing them so bare.
Dude, every skate shop I've talked to said this was the best year they've ever had. Like they couldn't keep hard goods in the store. They were just flying out of the fucking place.
I know. I keep hearing, I remember talking to Jim Thiebaud, and I was like begging him for boards, like blanks, just to get shit going. This is probably like before, maybe in August. Just hitting him up like, yo, help me out. And he would tell me about how many wheels they were going through. It was just like, it was the demand was so high that they had to allow certain shops, they had to cut them off at, let's say, whatever, 200 sets or whatever. But, yeah, I mean, the people that have accounts and can get stuff produced are killing it. So cool. So you see people like go from like maybe their POs were like 1,200 boards. Now they're placing POs like 4,500 boards each PO. Like it's like each purchase order. So it's pretty dope to see. People are like.
Kind of goes back to the statement, skateboarders are heavy influencers, Chris Pastras says, we're the taste makers. I love that one.
Rad.
Yeah.
Rad. Yeah, that's well put. I'd like to think that's true. Yeah.
I think it is. I think,
I mean, I'd like to see that, like, that be the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And continue to be, right?
Speaking of tastemakers, who are some of the brands that you think are like doing really interesting stuff?
How do you say it without putting anybody else down too much? But I think it's kind of like what Girl in Chocolate did, just having like, we're all in the van together because we all love each other, and we're all going skating together because we love skateboarding. It's not like this hodgepodge of dudes where it's like this guy from the East Coast and this guy from the West Coast that don't even know each other, but they have this marketing thing that we love. Like there's this strategy, but like we can't get them together because he likes raviolis and he likes lasagna or whatever it is, you're just like, but you just get like New York, right? It's like fucking these dudes just all, even if there was no company, they'd be skating together. And that's what I think draws you to your original question is like, well, who's doing interesting stuff? Anti-Hero has the best ads in the mag. It's like there's certain things that you just know.
Yeah. But I'm just interested in like what the next generation, I'm interested in what the new generation is bringing. Because I love skateboarding that much. I respect it a great deal.
Yeah, it's funny. I talked to McKenny, like I said, a lot, and he's got his finger back on the pulse, and sometimes he'll come at me with some stuff. He's an older guy. He's probably 44, 45 now. So him talking about like the difference between like, I don't know, some kid like Cater or whoever is out there and seeing it and appreciating it and stuff. We've both kind of been not gravitating, but kind of like really respecting what all the women are doing. Like it seems like skateboarding for women for a while was like, there was a handful of girls, Vanessa, Alyssa, some of these girls that were doing it always. But now it just seems like there's a whole pack of them. Like they can have, it's not such it seemed like it was kind of a rarity before, whereas now it's becoming more in line with like, we have our whole community and there's a lot of girls ripping.
Dude, absolutely. And what you're talking about touches on an important note in that, the female skaters from let's say even late 90s, they were ripping, right? But they were under such intense like critique. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it was like they would have a part and it would be dope, but they couldn't really, it was never, it's like the big brother always kept them down, so to speak. That's what I noticed. And now in skateboarding, it doesn't matter what sex you are. Nothing matters because we're less critical of each other. And that's such an interesting like time like to witness, because we've seen skateboarding come from a very like, divided pastime, right? I mean, when we were kids, it was easy to like not want to watch someone because they were deemed hesh, right? Or he's too fresh.
Hesh versus fresh. Like, yep.
Sure, we had all these reasons why they weren't part of the gang, right? Why they were deemed a kook. So like, hell yeah, it's an amazing time for female skaters. It's an amazing time for gay skaters. It's an amazing time for black skaters. The intensity has been lifted, and we're all, it seems to me, at any age. I mean, it was harsh to even be an older skater for many years. The vibe was harsh, right? Who's this old creep? You know what I mean? And I mean, I can handle stuff like that, like, because I'm there to skate. I'm not there to like be somebody. But yeah, it's really nice to see. Skateboarding is all encompassing, man. We seem to be doing a good job of like lifting each other up, right? Yeah, that's amazing.
I mean, not to get into a long discussion about it, but when the whole, like when Black Lives Matter really started to take off in this last year, kind of after the, the BRIEN incident and all that stuff. And it was it's still a heavy topic, but in my mind, it really flared up, rightfully so.
Yeah.
I was talking to a lot of people about kind of, racism
civil rights
in that stuff, but not to say there's no racism in skateboarding. I would never say that, but I would just say that like Chris Pastras and these people that would come on the show would say skateboarding definitely led the way again in kind of like, dude, we weren't looking at what color the guy was. Like when Kareem ripped, it wasn't like he was a great black skater. He was a great skateboarder. And that's kind of what humanity needs to take out of, again, skateboarding. Hank Aaron died 2 days ago, and they were talking about how he was a black baseball player and how he had always been judged as a black baseball player. And he was such a humble person and never really like let it get to him. But he was always critiqued like, you're the black guy that took out Babe Ruth. And people didn't like that. There was a lot of turmoil. And obviously we have a long ways to go, but I just think that like, I'm really proud of skateboarding for like 9 times out of 10 embracing people for just who they are, not the color of their skin or what sex they are, or, any of that stuff.
Not to mention, we're so forgiving, right? Like there's cancel culture is a big topic, and we've seen it for various reasons in the last year. But skateboarding, in good and bad ways, might look the other way if you're a real asshole or if you've done something really fucked up. But if you're showing the love, you know what I mean? If you're getting yourself back on track, let's say, and it's like, and it resonates and it's genuine, we're like the most forgiving group of human beings. Like that's something I don't think we give each other enough credit about,
Yeah. At the end, you're just wanting to celebrate, right? In whichever way that is. But when you're skating together, you're celebrating your skateboard and your ability to do it. And if you're at your top of your game on your skateboard and I'm on the top and we're friends, we're that's what it is. And like, I saw you in a dark place and it bummed me out. And to see that you're out of there and you're back and we're doing what we've always done, we have to celebrate.
I mean, it's strange and it's beautiful, but it's, I'm 47, right? I want to see Antoine like skating.
Yeah.
Isn't that strange? Do you know how detached I am from him as a person?
Right.
Pretty detached. Like there's no, I've been out of the game for a long time and I just skate as much as I can when I can. But like, it's interesting to have that skater mentality and want to see someone like that succeed. I think that's interesting. Like,
right.
Skateboarding's really strange, man. We want to see each other do the best we possibly can. And like, whatever that actually means,
Yeah.
So
for sure.
It's dope. I mean, we're pretty tolerant, patient group of people when we want to be.
Well, we're winding down. I just got a couple of things. Do you have a good question you'd like to ask every guest from here on out that I interview? Like a question that could be in the interviews?
Okay, the takeaway from this conversation is I'm not that funny. So I can't give you any good heat to work with. But I think something that would be dope is like, there's that weird, like hashtags are weird, right? On Instagram. Is it weird? It's weird, right?
Yeah.
Like I like Brad Staba years ago was pretty funny because he would just hashtag like a story or like
everything.
That dude's funny. In that, skateboarders always hashtag thank you skateboarding.
Right.
It's weird, but it's cool. So maybe at the end of each podcast, just like thank someone super random.
I like it.
You know what I mean? Be tight. I mean, I'm not funny, but
No, but it can be creative. It can be intellectual. It can be whatever you want.
Or it could just be like,
here, I'll handle the humor. You handle the smarts.
Yeah. Or the talking too much. I would say, so in that, I'm going to say, like, I'm going to end this podcast by like saying, thank you. You're awesome. I've always had great conversations with you. I think you are more important in skateboarding than you allow yourself to believe. Like, I think you're a pretty valuable dude in this industry. So I would say, thank you for taking the time. But who I would thank if I was like, oh, this is the end of your podcast, thank somebody, I would say Bruna Da Silva. So I talked about her. She was in the playground.
Yeah.
So pivotal moment in my life was her like giving me a place to be. So
awesome. Okay.
You know,
and then also what we do on each podcast is we end with a song to take us out of here. You know, something like from your vinyl collection, something that maybe your favorite video part, something that makes you think of the world today or anything, or just a song that makes you smile or angry.
What's that Don Henley song? Deadhead Sticker on a Cadillac.
Oh, yeah. I saw a deadhead sticker. A voice inside said, don't look back. You can never look back. I thought I knew what true love was, but did I know? Those days are gone forever. I can see you.
Let's play that. Let's just let that play. And then
let's play that. Dude, thanks so much, man. It was great talking to you. Fucking awesome.
I was going to flake on you. So yeah,
I was kind of surprised. Like, I thought you might flake on me. You know, you got a little Tim Upson in you.
No, I just overthink everything. And I'm like, why would I do that? But but I enjoy your time, man. And I love what you're doing. So.
Same, back at you. Are you a t-shirt, beanie, hat, or mug guy? I could send you something for, I'd like to fucking show a token of my gratitude. Huh?
You have coffee mugs, you said?
I got these.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. That's amazing. I'll send you a Barker board. Do you still want, I'll send you a Barker board.
Oh, yeah, that'd be amazing. And then I thought you were going to say you're going to send me Barker. And I was like, I can handle it. Don't pressure him.
He would be probably your best yet. If you could wrestle him down mentally, he's one of the more interesting minds that I've ever come in contact with.
Rad. Yeah, I love Barker.
I think you should do the Barker in a two-parter. Start it like this, and then go hang out in his backyard.
What the fuck? That'd be amazing. Yeah. But fuck, dude. Yeah. Thanks for spending so much time. Say hi to the fiance. Good luck with planning that.
How do we end these things?
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talking Schmit. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. When you subscribe, you'll get notifications every Tuesday of new episodes the minute they become available. Also, please leave reviews and a 5-star rating. It's the best way to help the show grow. All of the episodes will always remain free, but if you would like to help support the show, you can do so at talkingschmidt.com, where you can pick up some merchandise like t-shirts, beanies, hats, and stickers. The website has an entire archive of all of the episodes, with extra photos and videos. Email us with any suggestions, comments, or ways that the show may have improved your life at talkingschmidt@gmail.com. All interviews are conducted, edited, and produced by Schmitty. The intro music is Mary's Cross by the band Nature. Very special shout out goes to the executive director, Sharal Camisa.
Shout out.
Love it!
This is Talking Schmidt, where the Rolodex is deep, but the conversation is deeper.